Good, good, good. Just came from work, and yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to thank you, thank you, for gracing the show.
No,
Um,
not a problem at all.
I know. Well, it's good actually when I ask you. Well, we'll talk more about that. But it's good to know that you're still working. It's still. Tell us something about that later on, because from what I heard with Brother Jerry, because I don't know if he's back to work now, but I think last week or 2 weeks ago they opened, and then something happened there, I think, in Hong Kong,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why I don't know what's his status now. I haven't really chatted with him ever since that. So tell us something more about that when we go. By the way, John Bonoan is giving a shout out, because he was telling me you were his mentor when he was starting out. So thank you for looking after John when he was starting out there
No.
in SKG.
He's a very kind-hearted person. I think to begin with, I mean, whatever field you are in, I think it's important to be very humble and very kind, and he certainly is. Even now, whenever I see him, he's very polite, very humble, and always talk very nicely with respect with everybody actually. So there was no any drawback, because of which I should stop sharing what I know. So it was great to work with him for a little while that we did. So it was really, really nice.
There you go. Oh, and by the way, before we start officially, happy Ram Day. So we
Yeah,
are.
I'm cutting down on alcohol, bro. I'm not drinking this one. Some vitamin water, bro.
Yeah. That's okay. That's okay. I mean, I had to, because part of our session later is about the optimist. So we're gonna definitely tell the people about what your background is, and your how's Hong Kong. So I think yeah, okay, shout out to everybody that's entering the live chat right now. Most of them are your friends, I suppose. Suyash is here, Rendell, Serrano, Pramod, Panwar. Then we have John. We have who else is here? Gothic Empire, Yosoy Antonio Lopez, Ginis Technic 29. Yep, they're all on your side of the coin. But later, yeah, I think, because here, just to give you a how do you call it, a background. Well, it's hustling. It's time of hustling. So everybody is up and about, and the bars are closed. Although from the news, the government is giving us like a general community quarantine. So I think we're back to people are allowed to dine and maybe drink as long as there is social distancing. They're a little bit. They're giving us a free pass starting, I don't know, maybe tomorrow or Monday.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's still pretty much a long way to go for the bar industry, and that's why I am in a different industry now, but still with people. Not on how do you call this? I'm waiting for when the bar would open and the school would open. But for now, we need, like I was telling you, we need money to come in,
Right.
and not going out. But yeah, okay. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Toma Sessions once again. So we are honored to have one of the top bartenders in the Hong Kong bartending industry. I have heard of this gentleman, of course, from when I joined Bacardi Legacy way back 2015. So I think the year prior to that, his posters and his name was really all over the internet. He had a very good marketing campaign, and the drink, actually, I would like to know more about it, as sure as you will also, because it's called the Optimist. And we'll know more about this fine young gentleman by the name of Devender Kuhmar Sigal. Yay! Okay, I think Devender will start with, because I was researching you. So your one account says you're Devender Kumar, and then another account says you're Devender Sigal. So tell us something about that first.
I mean, that happened. See, my actual name is Devender Kuhmar Saigal. That's because Saigal is my family name, and
okay.
They in 2008, 2009 or 10, no, actually 2007 or 8, when I was starting my career in the hospitality, and my boss, my first ever boss, he asked me if I would like to go to Singapore. And that point of time, I didn't know how to speak English, and there's so many things I didn't know about, like how to speak English, and I never left India, even never left Delhi back then. Like, I was literally within Delhi and I didn't go out. So when he asked me that, would you like to go to Singapore with me, and we have a project, and it's about 1 month project, so I have to stay in Singapore for 1 month. I was like, okay, yes, I would like to go. And then, so he's like, but do you have a passport? And that point of time, I didn't have a passport. And so we are like, okay, so there's a friend of mine who helped me, and when we went to the center, and then he's like, so what do I write your name? And I was like, write whatever you want. Because literally that point in time I had no idea about, like,
yes. No, I was just laughing because I mean, if I said that to my friend, I'll be in jail now.
That point in time, the priority was to get the passport. So whatever.
Yes.
I mean, I didn't have understanding about how important it is.
The passport works.
You know, how important it is going to be, later. So
in life,
I was like, whatever, just put it. And then so he put Devender Kumar. And then we're like, okay, we got the passport, we're all good. Went to Singapore, came back, and then started to work in the industry back in Delhi. And as I was growing up, I was started to travel a little bit as well. I went to Italy in 2009. So as I was traveling more, and then I realized the importance of the passport and why it's important, and why your name has to be literally same and identical in all your documents, right? And so when I came to Hong Kong, again, it's the same. And I didn't bother to kind of change the name. I was like, okay, let it be like that. And when I came to Hong Kong, everything to do with me abroad, whether I'm in Hong Kong or anywhere else in the world, is always Kumar, because of my passport. And now with so many other documents and so many other places, like, it's only Devender Kumar because of my Hong Kong ID. So it was more of like, in the urge of getting a passport, so I was like, write whatever. But now it has spread so much that I don't want to change it. Otherwise, I have to go all the way back to kind of do everything. Yeah. So, regarding this, I even had an issue because my license in India, driving license, has Devender Saigal on it, and my passport has Devender Kumar. So I wanted to get an international license, so that I can get the international license, and I can drive anywhere I am, right? But then because now my passport and my license doesn't match, so it is still on hold, and it's been like 8 months now. And then when I go back to India, I have to change my name in order to get the international license in Hong Kong. So I'm still waiting, and now with the coronavirus, it's getting a lot more challenging. So that's what happened. Unfortunately, I'm still stuck with Devender Kumar.
Okay. Well, now we know. I mean, it's because actually, so I say, I wonder what shall I use, Kumar or Sigal? But then again, I saw one of your posters, so I said, okay, let's stick with Kumar. Okay, so now let's move back a little bit. So tell us something with connection with the passport thing also. So how did you start? How did you start with your career?
Well, I started about I think 2017, and it was more of like just a part-time job to kind of earn some money, because I left schooling at the very early age when I was about 14, I think, because I wasn't good in study. I was kind of failing in every class I was in, and then at least a year I was spending in one class before I kind of go on. What do you
Sorry,
think?
no. No, this is the neighbor. The neighbor. I don't know. Hold on. Let me close the door. Sorry about that. It's technical problem. We're in the wilderness now.
All good, all good.
Now the neighbor triggered this car alarm. I don't know. Okay,
I see you have a nice pretty bar behind you. That's very
yes. I'm at thank you. I'm at home I'm at the home/studio right now. I wanted to go to the bar, but an hour ago, 2 hours ago, it rained heavily. So I said, okay, I'll just stay here. So I mean, it's the same ambiance, and it's rum day, no? So there's rum everywhere, so it's okay.
Fantastic. So
yeah, go ahead.
So I started about like at the age of 14 when I left schooling at the very early age, and my father was retired back then. So there was a time when someone from the family need to work and kind of start to make some money and support the family financially. My brother was working, my sister, because father retired. I mean, you see your father retired, so you need a little bit of more money kind of to support. And then because I was not good in studies, so they were literally paying money for my schooling, but then it's not worth it at that point, no? It's worth it if I would have studied, but then because I was not really paying attention, so it wasn't a very useful thing for me, So I was like, okay, I want to leave study and I want to do something else. And so then there was a brother of mine, cousin brother of mine, and he opened a freelancing company called True Master, which is about like, it's a 6 months sort of season. So they work from October to April, something like 6-7 months, and do the wedding, and they do bartending in the wedding. So they wanted me to work at the barback. So I started doing it, but then at the same time they were also teaching me flair, which back then I knew is a juggling. So I started with that, and then kind of start liking it. My mom pushed me a lot. She's like, you know what, you're not gonna study, and my mom sent me to do the mechanic job, where I was kind of working under the sun and repairing cars and big trucks. But that wasn't really working for me because it's a long hours, and I was earning literally nothing. Back then, every day I used to get about $50 Hong Kong dollar as a pay. So it was like literally, nothing. And then with that money, you can't really support the family, right? And I understand the fact that you have to kind of learn the how to fix the truck and things like that properly, and then you started to make money. But then it was very challenging to begin with. So I didn't like it. I left, and then I joined my cousin brother in a freelancing company, and started learning flair, and also start going to the wedding with him. And I really liked it. Back then I wasn't speaking English at all. So that's why I used to be in the back, and all I have to do is all the physical work we possibly can do, and as long as you can support the bartender. And with that, I was getting better with my flair bartending, which was I was very happy with. And my cousin saw the potential in me with the flair bartending, so he's like, okay, we're gonna take you even more in a party. All you have to do is barback, and also if we need to perform in front of the crowd, then you go ahead and perform. So I was like, okay, no problem at all. And so I could perform, I could work really, really hard, but then I cannot speak to the people, because all the people you see speaking in English with each other, and then you're like, how to do it, right? Because you literally can't, because you didn't study in school. So it was holding me back. So at some point I was like, okay, I'm gonna start learning English. So there was a teacher who was kind of my uncle. He used to teach grammar to the people, children, the English grammar. So I was like, I want to learn that too. So I went to him. He taught me for about 2.5 months, and I really liked it. But then I learned the grammar, but then I didn't have the people around me where I can speak English and
to
get
practice,
better.
yes.
The practice, because I remember going to the institutes, and then they're like, some in India we have a lot of these, like you said, learn English in 30 days. And back then, because I didn't know how to speak English, it excites me, right? I'm like, I want to go and learn English in 30 days. It will be fun.
Yeah.
But then you go there's a lot of money involved. But then you realize that they don't teach you really. They just put you with a group of people, and then the more you speak, the more you learn.
Yeah.
So I was like, I can make my own group, if I have to. So what I did was, back then, because I was getting better in my flair bartending, so I started teaching flair bartending back in Delhi in an institute called Institute of Bar Operations and Management. And that's when I also started to practice my English, because the students who used to come over there, they used to speak very good English. They all are from the very good background, but they don't know anything about flair bartending, anything about mixology or theory. So when I used to host a class, I made this rule in the class that everyone will speak to each other in English. I mean, because they could speak easily, I cannot. So it was more for me than for them. So I was like, okay, I want to learn how to speak. And then I was teaching them flair and trying to speak whatever broken English I could. And when they were replying it, so I was learning it a lot more. And that worked really, really well for me. And what you see me speaking now is a result of what I did back then with the student that I was teaching with. So did that a lot in 2008 and 9. And 9 I left institute because I wanted to work in an industry, because institute was fun. It was a lot of learning, but then you wanted to work in a hospitality. That's So I started working with a standalone property called Cibo. Cibo was an fine dining Italian restaurant in Delhi, and it was really, really nice working with them. There's a gentleman called Manoj that I used to work with. He was the senior of mine, and he taught me a lot as well. And he used to support me. He used to live very near to my house where I used to live back in Delhi. So we used to come and go together, and then he used to help me a lot in the hospitality because I was very fresh. I have an experience of an institute, but not really the restaurant business.
Industry.
So worked with him for about 6 months, and that's when there was a competition called Pacani Martini Grand Prix. It was a competition about 2 different categories. One is a flair, one is a mixology, depending on what category you want to take part in. So I took a part in flair category because I think I was good at it. And one of my friend who also won the competition, Olsen Pereira, he was from Mumbai. He participated in a mixology. So we had a regional round in Delhi. I passed it, and then went to the national final, and then won the final in India. And so the prize was to represent India in the global final in Italy. So in 2009, it was the first time I left India, and then I went to Italy with literally not knowing proper English. It was
okay,
fun,
wait. Let me ask you. So you joined the Bacardi Grand Prix. So do you know Loy Catada by any chance because of this flair thing? Because he was he started also with flair. Loy Catada of Australia, the brand ambassador.
From where?
Philippines.
From Philippines.
Yeah, but he was Australian brand ambassador. Because this Bacardi Grand Prix was everybody. I mean, even me. I started with flair way back in the day. But I mean, since you. So basically, you fell in love with flaring first.
Very much.
Basically, so okay, growing up, just to sidetrack or follow up on that a bit, who were your top three idols in Flair during that time?
I was following a lot. I used to follow only one Flair bartender who was, to me, was and is the most classiest Flair bartender is Christian Delpech. So I used to follow him a lot. I mean, I liked not only his flair, but the way he does it, his style, his choice of music that he selected every time he's participating in a flair competition, whether it's a Sky or Roadhouse or anything that he's doing, it was with a class, and that's what I liked about it. You know, and his timing, his choice of music, his moves, his style, it was just amazing. So I used to follow him a lot. Apart from that, I used to follow Nicholas St. John also. Actually, I had the pleasure of meeting him in India because my boss back in India, he brought him over for about a week or so. So we had some session with him and tandem flair, and it was fun. There was a guy called Ilyas and Nicholas.
Ilyas.
They both came down. They used to work together.
Ilyas.
Yeah.
He's the juggler. Yes.
So they used to, they both came with another, there were three of them, and it was great fun. But then their moves was too complicated for us to understand when they were in India. So we grabbed what we grabbed, their philosophy, their idea. But then we used to follow a lot, I mean, many different bartenders, but mine, one go-to was the Christian Delpech.
Okay, so what was your favorite move to bring back your flair days? What was your favorite move yourself? What do you always do? Is it one bottle?
Even one bottle, one tin. That was one thing which was easy, and that there was a point when I practiced it to an extent that I could flair from the very new bottle to goes all the way down, and one bottle, one tin was the very kind of, I would say, my favorite move. And then even now I do with something with a tin, like flip over, up and down, upwards, inwards, and even I do at Porto also, but not as extreme as I used to do once.
Okay, so do you do 3 bottles, multiples, or oh wow,
two bottle, one tin, two tin, one bottle, 3 bottles, and yeah.
Nice. Okay, so from Italy, let's move forward. So from Italy, when did the opportunity came to go to Hong Kong?
So from it, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yep. Yes.
From Italy, I came back, and in the global final, we were, I think, 30 of us, and my friend who took participate in the mixology, he stood 3rd in the world. I stood 5th in the world, and then when we came back, we were like, okay, we did the flair bartending, and what else? So the next step was the mixology to understand. So I started focusing on the mixology, and there was a French guy I used to work with in Taj Mahal Hotel in New Delhi. It's called Maxim. He made me realize why the liquid inside the glass is so important. So I worked with him for about 6-7 months, and then I moved on. I went to Sri Lanka to do a project for about 2.5 months in Colombo. Came back. The reason why I'm telling you this because in Mumbai it's when I polish to a very extent when it comes to bartending. So when I moved to Mumbai, I started working in a place called Ellipsis. And Ellipsis was a place where where cocktail was like literally in detail, which I have never seen before. The program was done by Death and Company from New York City. So I used to work with a girl called Jenna Breston. She was a head bartender. I was assistant head bartender. She taught us a lot, and also that why the standards are really important, why you have to taste your drinks every time you serve, why you don't make the drinks on the spot, why you have to serve the drink that is tried and tested, and so on. I mean, little things, but it makes a big difference, and it goes a long way.
Yeah.
And then I participated in world class in from India. So I was representing Ellipsis. it worked. I mean, somehow it actually worked really well for me because when I was participating and I got a lot of support from my company. So I won the final from India, went to Brazil for the global final. When I came back, it was really nice because that's when I started writing for a newspaper, writing for a magazine, etc., etc. And that gave me a lot of opportunity to kind of go on a media, on a magazines, etc. And when I was looking for a job, not very actively, but then I was like, okay, I would like to change. That's when my friend from Hong Kong, who used to work at Toma, his name is Roshan, he asked me if I would like to move to Hong Kong and work at the restaurant because he was moving on to San Francisco. I was like, okay. So I had an interview with my director back then, and then they found something in me and brought me over at Auto to run the program. So I came here about in Hong Kong 2013 December. 15 December 2013 I came to Hong Kong. And so ever since I've been in Hong Kong, I'm working with Auto ever since, and I'm absolutely loving Hong Kong. Although the situation is a bit challenging at the moment, but then again, we all know that this time will pass, and we will be able to live freely as we were before. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to Bacardi Legacy. So when did that opportunity? I mean, because I see in one of your posters, multi-awarded mixologist, right? So it says there mixologist. So you know very well that there's always a debate about bartender and mixologist. So,
I always say that mixologist is looks fancier, and then it's good to apply visa. But then bartender.
Okay. Okay.
Because
now I know.
because when I came to Hong Kong and when they apply for my visa, I had to give them all my published work and everything.
Okay.
So when it says mixologist on my contract, and I personally am not a big fan of this word, but then because they needed it to sort out my visa, I was like, okay, no problem. So later on, I changed it in my even contract and my business card as well, because I personally not a big fan of mixologist as a name. But then sometimes media and sometimes people write it the way they write it. You can't really challenge them, but yeah.
Yeah, but it works, huh? Okay, so now I know. I mean, I asked Dale de Groff about it because he was the one who actually, he mentioned that he coined the term mixologist. But then again, yes, you're correct. It sounds fancier and
more classier than you said bartender.
Yeah.
You said bartender applying for a job, and you're like, what about the 2 million bartender who are already working in Hong Kong?
Yeah.
You said mixologist, you're like, oh my god, it will be very uptight, very suited, booted job or something.
Yes. Okay. So going back to what made you decide to join Bacardi Legacy?
Because I think back then the two competitions that I think was amazing. One was the Bacardi Legacy and one was the World Class. So I did World Class in India already, and I'm like, I want to do Bacardi Legacy, because I want to touch these two competitions. And I also think that these two competitions are two different competitions. One is about creativity, one is about simplicity, and to me, it pushed the bartender on a different level. So when you're taking part in World Class, it will push you towards the creativity, and you have to come up with a new ritual, new ideas, etc. When you're taking part in Bacardi Legacy, it will push you towards the simplicity, how you promote your drink, how you make sure that the people know about your drink. So it pushes you on a different level, and that's what I liked about it. So I did World Class, and I'm like, I want to do the Bacardi Legacy. I wanted to do the year I came. So I came in the 2013 end, right? I wanted to participate in 2014, but then I missed the submission. so I couldn't. So then I had to wait one more year to participate. So when the 2015 came in, and that's when I decided that I want to participate. And so the brand ambassador Reeve back then, and he's like, okay. And I started to work on my cocktail, but it's always difficult to kind of come up with a drink that you think represent yourself, and so on, right?
Yeah.
So I was working on my drink, I remember, and I had one of my guests called Chris, and he was sitting right in front of me. And I was like, listen, I have to come up with this drink, and I'm failing it. So tried many things, didn't work. So I called Reeve, and I was like, dude, listen, it's not working. I don't think I can take part. So I would like to kind of, just maybe next year I'll do it. I don't think this year I can do it. So he's like, no, bro, do it. Try. I was like, okay. Then I started to make cocktail again. I remember I started about like 3 o'clock in the afternoon up until 11 o'clock in the night. That day, surprisingly, the bar wasn't busy. So I tried many flavors and whatever I could do. And something also you have to keep it in mind, it has to be simple, available throughout the year, should be available around the world, etc., right? So came up with many things, but then something didn't work. Then the classic combination ginger and honey came up. I mean, obviously, this is proven that how amazing ginger and honey combination is,
Yes.
because the penicillin is the outstanding cocktail, right? So that's basically the inspiration comes from there. And then the basil, because obviously I work for Italian restaurants, so kind of wanted to add that touch to the drink. So all in all, I mean, it came up. So Optimist has rum, fresh lime juice, fresh basil, ginger and honey, and yellow chartreuse. And the glass is actually rinsed with the yellow chartreuse and a slice of cucumber on top. When I first presented, there was no chartreuse in it, because chartreuse was added way after. Because the competition was actually tomorrow, when they were supposed to come to your bar to judge the cocktail, and I was making it today. Until 11 o'clock, I didn't have a cocktail. So I didn't have an understanding of what to present, and I had to do one daiquiri ritual and one of my signature drink, which was the Optimist. So chartreuse was added because I asked Reeve if I could change a little bit, and he said you can. And I like the idea of adding a little bit of herbaceous notes from the chartreuse. And
so you use green?
Cucumber. No,
the
yellow.
Green, the yellow. Okay.
Because yellow is a bit more softer. If I use green, it's very, very strong and very powerful. So the yellow goes very well with the basil, the cucumber, and it was really, really nice. So it worked well. Somehow, somewhere, someone liked it. So
Okay, so 2014-15. So your batchmate would be Tom Walker, made in Cuba.
No, he was a year before me.
Okay. Wait, so who was the champion?
When I participated, you mean when I won? Oh, sorry, when I represent Hong Kong.
Yeah. Your batch was who?
Frank Ledoux. He's from France.
Frank. Yes. The Viognier. This is wine and olive.
Correct.
Yeah.
Frank,
The oil.
Frank used to work for Mark in Lyon, and he won the final in Sydney.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, because I remember I was about to ask you, because you used basil, so I was about to ask, maybe basil was the kicker ingredient for that year, because apparently Tom had basil for his made in
Tom
Cuba.
Tom had mint inside, no basil.
Isn't it basil and cucumber?
Mint.
Mint and cucumber. Okay. Well, my bad.
No, that's why people were making. I mean, when I represented, people were like, "Your drink is very similar, so would you like to change it?" But then I kept it the same, because I was like, I believe in this drink, and I will not change anything.
Okay, let me go back to yours. Okay, so you mentioned a while ago that you like to write. You were in media in India, correct? So after working, so you do you have this? Because it's hard, ah. Not all bartenders write. Not all bartenders can really be in the media outfit. I mean, I'm just toying with what you're saying. So, do you already have this inkling to write when you were little, when you were a young boy?
No. I mean, I think as I told you in the beginning, that I wasn't really good in study as such. So the whole idea of writing and talking about drinks, etc., is actually developed over the period of time by being in the industry. I wasn't really into writing, and I still am not into writing as such, I would say. But then when it comes to a specific topic or a specific thing, then of course, you want to focus on that, and then you want to do it. Back in India, after world class, I got an opportunity to write about with different cocktail what we're doing at Ellipsis, and it was almost like it's the time for you to let people know what you're doing and who you are, where you come from, because that's the thing I like about competition, is like competition put you in a platform, and then it's up to you how you want to write. And for me, it worked well because my company back in India, they supported me. My mentor, Rohan, he supported me. There's a gentleman called Tim Judge, who was the reserve brand ambassador for Diageo. He supported me big time. So the support of all these people, it just helped a lot. And then it was very easy to kind of put together and just present it to the media and whoever would like to kind of publish the work that you're doing.
Okay, so my next question would be, when did you? Okay, so because India is next to China as being one of the biggest countries in the world, right? Yeah, no, but my question is this: when did you start knowing about, let's say, Arijit? Because New Delhi, because you mentioned New Delhi, and Arijit worked in New Delhi, and it's I haven't been to New Delhi or India for that matter, so I'm always curious, how does one get to know each other from a big
so
place?
Arijit, I remember that when I was doing a freelance back in India, he used to work for, I think, Kingfisher,
Okay.
if I remember carefully. But the more I got to know Arijit when I was part of Bacardi Martini Grand Prix, because he was the Bacardi brand ambassador.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's how I kind of got to know Arijit, and then we chatted a little bit, and then we started to know each other. And then that's how basically Arijit got to know David Cordova as well, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Because David Cordova was the global ambassador, Arijit was in India, and then the connection built up. And then from there, Arijit, again, he did some incredible work with Bacardi, and then he did his own project as well. He opened a couple of bars in India, which did very well. So he was always kind of on the go, always doing something. So it was very easy kind of to know about Arijit or about some of the people back in India who were doing amazing, like Sandeep Verma or Sandy or Yangdup Lama. They are all a generation in India. They have given so much to Indian community as a whole.
Okay. What made you stay in Hong Kong?
I think Hong Kong is a very vibrant city. I mean, I think whoever has come to Hong Kong will never get disappointed. I mean, some people, not last year, I think beginning of this year, I had a friend of mine from Oslo, and he and his bartender came down, and they liked Hong Kong during when it was going under protest, and there's so many things going on. They loved Hong Kong then. So just imagine when there is nothing happening,
Nothing happening.
People can go out, people can drink, people can enjoy, and the roads are vibrant. Can you imagine how much people will love it? So I I have seen that. Like, I came in 2014, and ever since I fell in love with it. To me, Hong Kong is it's amazing in many ways. It's vibrant, it's cosmopolitan. There's so many different nationality, and it's right in the center. So literally, if you think about it, apart from Australia, there is nothing far than 5 hours from Hong Kong. You look at Japan, Taiwan, Singapore even 2 hours. So everything is very nearby, which makes it great for you to travel. And I love travel.
To travel.
And India is, for example, is not that far as well. So it's very near to home. So if I think about all of it, it just makes me Hong Kong to me is like a home now.
Okay. So with that being said, do you see yourself retiring back in your home country? Like
at some point, I will
India?
go back. I mean, I certainly will go back at some point. When is a very big question that I even ask myself. But then at some point, I will certainly go back to India and maybe do something there.
Okay. All right. So now let's talk about Auto Imezzo. So can you tell us something? What is Auto Imezzo?
So 8.5 Auto Imezzo Bommana is an Italian restaurant that was opened about 9 years ago in Hong Kong by a gentleman called Umberto Bommana. Umberto Bommana is a chef and owner of this restaurant. He used to work with Ritz-Carlton before. He worked with them for about 20 years before he opened his own establishment. It's an Italian restaurant with amazing food, amazing drink, and amazing wine. It's right in the central, so it's in Landmark, and we've been serving people from like 9 years now. And then the first year when we opened, we received 2 Michelin stars from the Michelin Guide, and the following year we received 3 Michelin stars. So Auto Imezzo is the only Italian restaurant that has been outside of Italy and received 3 Michelin stars in the world. And it's nice. It's not very common to have an establishment like that with the bar attached to it. Because when you go to a fine dining restaurant, generally they have a dispense bar where they get the drinks from, and that's it. But our establishment is slightly different. It wasn't meant to be like this because our establishment is divided into 3 parts. We have a lounge area where we have a bar, and then we have a main dining area, and then we have a private room. Okay. So the lounge area in the beginning when we opened, the idea was to just kind of let the guests wait for their table so that they can go inside. But over the period of time, things have changed, and the people who worked in Auto Imezzo, especially the bar area, they put so much of passion and determination that they made the space very lively. And there used to be a guy called I'm forgetting his name. He was with Giancarlo Mancino. So I don't know if you're aware. The Giancarlo Mancino opened Auto Imezzo bar. He was the first consultant. Okay. He opened it, and then he brought my friend Roshan. So they worked together, and then Giancarlo moved on with his Mancino Vermouth, and my friend moved on to San Francisco, and that's when I came into the picture. Okay. Now, no, is that a freestanding bar or restaurant? It's a It's a part of a group called License. We have about 18 or 19 restaurants in our 18 or 19 restaurants in our group that includes Chinese, Western, and Japanese. Okay. So it's a bigger group. So we have a restaurant in Hong Kong, Macau, Shanghai, and Beijing, mainly in those areas.
Okay. Before I ask my next question, shout out to everyone who's here. Salak Ricky from Philippines is here, and then Shetty, Glenn Diaz. Welcome, guys. Thank you for watching. Mac Magician, Akob, Beno Kundra, Dance Within, and yeah, feel free. Actually, there is one question. I think we can ask this now. What's your plan for the next 5 years, Dev? From Mr. Cocktail Jockey.
I want to run marathon.
Oh, nice. Half or whole?
I want to run whole, but let's see.
Nice.
At least I want to start with half.
nice.
Let's not exaggerate. I want to run half.
No.
Now I started doing running a little bit and focusing a lot more on myself as well. And because in our industry it can be very challenging, very time consuming. So sometimes I think you need to balance it. And now since we have time, it's a very unfortunate way of having a time, but then since we have it, we have to utilize it somewhere. So just doing whatever I can in order to kind of keep myself fit, fine, and healthy. But apart from that, what I want to do in 5 years, I really want to travel. Maybe 1 year, I want to just get a break. And there is a program that I really, really like. It's called Departure. So there's 2 Canadian people. They left everything for 1 year, and then they traveled the world. They went about 37 different countries. And I wish I could do the same.
Well, as a backpacker, I think nothing is impossible. So, it's...
I will touch Philippines for sure.
Yes,
once again.
yes.
And it's amazing. I've been to Manila and it's superb.
Yes. You were with a group during a wedding of
Joe Villanueva.
Yeah, Joe. So it's good times here. I mean, before now we'll see. I mean, it's trying times, but we're still hopeful. Okay, my next question to you will be. How long did it take you to adjust to the Hong Kong bartending scene?
So, it took a while actually, and here I want to mention a very important person who actually helped me out a lot. So when I first came in Hong Kong, I didn't know anybody, like zero, and it's very challenging because when you move to another country, you it's always like you have a friend, someone who can actually show you around, right?
Yeah.
And I wasn't blessed with that. I didn't know anybody, so I had to find my own way. And when I was working at Auto in the very beginning, like first week or second week, Bryson, he came over.
Yes, Rivera. Yes, Filipino. Yeah. Yes.
So Bryson, Joe, I think James Tamang, and one more person. So they came to Auto, they had a drink, and then Bryson was the one who's like, let me know if you would like to hang out or anywhere we can help, something like that. And to me, because I don't know him much, but the fact that if it comes from a person, something like that, it is very important, very touching, especially when you're away from your home and someone is actually, let me know if you need any help. So that was very kind of him. Whether you go for a help or no, it's secondary. But the fact that someone actually offer you that, it's very, very meaningful. So, that day, and then of course we connected and then we hang out, etc. But then from then, it slowly kind of, it took about I would say about 6 months to a year, I would say. There was a time when I was feeling a bit lonely because I was missing India, missing my family. And because it's not the same thing, like, now I know the places where to eat food, etc. But back then was different because I was not eating many things. I was not very comfortable with cheese. I was not very comfortable with many kind of food. And back in India, for us, cheese is the paneer, which is a very different thing. But here, if someone offer you burrata or comte, it's a very different thing, which I wasn't used to it. So for me, it was a complete change. It wasn't a change of environment, but the food, the everything, So it took a while, like in a positive way. But there was a time when I was like literally ordering food from, or rather going to McDonald's and eating there because that's the only thing I understand. But now it's different. So there was a time when I did whatever I possibly could. But now it's slightly different.
Yeah. So until now you and Bryson still touch base, and the whole gang, the mafia, Joe, Bryson, Okay, no, that's good to know. Actually, shout out to Bryson if you're gonna watch this. I haven't met him in person. We've always chatted, but circumstances cannot, well, really doesn't allow us yet to meet. But he's a good guy, and then of course his roots here in the Philippines. I know where he stays here, so that's why whenever there is a Filipino bartender from another country and they're here, I make it a point to really go out and meet them and have a chat or maybe bring them around because it's nice. I kind of, it's like my job to tell them, oh, this is what you missed. We go here and this is how it looks like now as compared to 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So
True.
yeah. Okay. Let's go to some more trivia about you. What was the first cocktail you made?
First cocktail. I remember the one I remember was the summer passion that I did for the Bacardi Martini Grand Prix. It was a combination of soda water, morning passion fruit, fresh cucumber, rum, and fresh lime juice, I think. Yeah.
Okay. So with that said, what was the first proper cocktail or classic cocktail that you made?
I think classic cocktail-wise, again, there is a drink called Blue Lagoon. I don't know if it's categorized as classic, but then that was very popular back in
it's the 90s.
Delhi.
Yes. I agree.
Because of the color or something, but then it actually was very popular. So that was one of them, I guess. And then again, maybe a Negroni, I think, maybe. Back in India, we're not a very big fan of a Negroni, but then at some point, I think I might have.
Yeah, same because, well, okay, that leads me to another question. I mean, the transition between flair and cocktails, from a Blue Lagoon to a Tron Negroni. You know what I mean, right? It's what made that transition for you? Well, was the transition easy?
See, it wasn't. I mean, because again, a lot of things changed when I worked in Ellipsis in Mumbai, and that's when I actually understood the whole idea behind drinks, why the ingredients are important, why certain bitters are important. Even though it goes in drops, but then it does matter. It makes a difference. So it's very, very important to be very precise and be honest to yourself. And then when you move to a new country or new bar, you always want to prove yourself, right? Because you want to showcase that to the bosses, to the people, that they hired the right person. For me, when I joined, it was very unfortunate because my beverage manager, who was working before me, he left the day I joined, and he went to Japan because he had some work there. But then at the same time, it gave me sort of like a blank paper, right? And now I want to do what I want to do. What will represent me? What will define me, who I am, right? It took a while because the palette was different. In India, it's different palette. In Hong Kong, it's different palette. So there was a time when drinks was coming back. People didn't find it balanced. People found it a bit sweet, a bit sour, etc. So that's when I started going around and kind of seeing other bartenders, what they're doing. When I came to Hong Kong, I wasn't even drinking. I was not drinking alcohol as such. So it was difficult to adapt that as well, kind of, because when you go to a bar with a friend, of course you order something and then your friend will order something. You can't just go and have a mocktail, right? So it took a while to kind of adjust with everything. And then when you understand the palate, then you kind of go in that direction and then started to kind of develop yourself and your bar and your team with that direction so that people like it.
Okay. All right. Okay, so what can you say about the bartenders of today, the young bartenders as compared to you growing up, or maybe the bartenders during your generation, or maybe my generation, or Agong's generation?
Mm-hmm. See, I think again the one of the very important thing is that not to cut corners and then not get into the techniques and the we want to play with this and that. I think it's always important to kind of start from the very bottom and then understand how the whole thing works, why it's done in such a way, because you can always be creative and then do whatever you would like. Like for example, Agun Movable Feast. It's a twist on a Bloody Mary. It's fucking an amazing drink. But then he created it after working so many years in the industry. Imagine if the young bartender come and he's like, I want to do this without actually getting the point of like how to make a Bloody Mary properly.
Yes.
So sometimes we miss the step, and that is important not to miss it. And that the young bartender should understand the fact that if you climb up and you miss the step, then at some point you have to touch that. You have to touch that step again, which is not nice. So better you go slowly and then get to a point where you don't have to come back again. You know? And sometimes the young bartender doesn't understand. They want fast. They want to be published in the magazine, etc., which is great. We all want that. We all want attention. We all want to be in media and in public. But then people don't understand how much work you put into it behind in order to be in front of the people, in front of the media. So I think that the young bartender should understand that.
Excuse me, Rebecca is. Rebecca is here. Shout out Rebecca. Rebecca Sturt.
Ciao, Rebecca.
Yeah, man.
She's
here right now. Okay, well, I agree 100%. I mean, I asked you that question because here in Toma sessions, it's always nice for our viewers, especially the aspiring bartenders and the young ones, to hear it straight from us. Okay, so the 1 hour was really, really fast. We're gonna wrap it up because, well, of course, our guest is busy. Wait, let's see. Devender. Wait. See if he can still join us because he has something at 8. But let's see if he's gonna connect with us again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, man, yeah. 1 hour was fast, just like that. It's already 1 hour. Okay, no, I last 2 questions. We were supposed to do a fast talk, but I understand. Just like, I mean, you guys, as I was telling you, I mean, I understand that, of course, technically, if you notice, during the first part of Toma sessions, when you were able to see it live, I was interviewing people from either US or Europe because the time difference is totally different. But in Asia, it would be a miracle if somebody can be interviewed at this time. You know, it's just like you. It's a miracle that you can talk to me at this time. So because I understand we gotta work, we gotta hustle, and in fact, when all things are back to normal, I will be out because I want to do live stream on the bars around the Philippines, you know, and that's the main reason why I put up this program. But okay, we were cut about, okay, anyway, we summarized about the young bartenders. So maybe my last 2 questions. One would be, what are your pet peeves as a bar manager? Can you name me 3?
What, sorry,
what? Pet peeves, meaning, is there anything that you like hate as a bar manager that you see when you enter your bar or you enter your restaurant, that you like it given attention right away, something like that?
Anything I hate when I enter the bar. Anything I hate. Like some, like we have also we have a coffee machine inside our bar, a really beautiful coffee machine, and makes amazing coffee. But with the same, at the same time, there is we don't have we don't have like, but then sometimes when you're using the coffee and then there's a powder, the coffee powder drop on the floor, and then of course you're making like 70, 80 coffee every day for the guests and every. So there is a point when the coffee powder drop on the floor, and then you're like, and then sometimes when you enter, because the bar is open, so people could see. But I also understand the fact that you can't clean it every single time.
Right. Yeah.
But then you try your level, but still sometimes things doesn't go the same way, So when you see that, then you're like, oh, can you or maybe call somebody, or you do by yourself. So that is something that is, I think, it's a very little thing again, but then I think that add so much value, because when people see, people might not say anything, but then it's something that people keep it in mind, especially they expect from the establishment that it needs to be top always. So yeah.
Okay. So last question. So how would you define hospitality?
How do I define hospitality? I think, to me, I mean, I will talk about how I see hospitality, what hospitality means to me. See, hospitality, it's in a way of connecting with people that you don't know. It's some sort of like you form a connection with some people through the work that you do, and then deliver the best thing that you possibly can, whether with the product or whether with the service. The whole idea of hospitality to me is for them to feel comfortable in a way that they like it. Because I mean, you people come here in the restaurant, or people go to the bar. You serve the drink, serve the water, they pay, they go. That's it. But the hospitality is a bit more than that, where you get to know someone who walks through the door to you, because they chose you over any other restaurant or bar. So it's important for you to kind of at least know something about them, and deliver something, or let them understand who you are, where you come from, because people are interested in. Now, with the given situation, people are getting more and more aware of what people are eating and drinking, right? So
yeah,
and at the same time, people forget that it's very important to introduce yourself and let them know who you are, and ask the question that who they are, where they come from. You end up adding a value to their experience, because when you work in a bar or in a restaurant, people come from different parts of the world. You never know, the people who are just kind of staying in Hong Kong or in Philippines, or people are coming just to visit, So when you give them suggestion, when you give them ideas, when you give them or tell them that you should try something like this, then they remember. And then hospitality is beyond that, to be able to kind of give them the experience, not only within your organization, but also if you could go far than that.
All right. No, 100%. I agree. So of course, it's always nice to ask about this, because there has been a lot of talk about that word hospitality, but then again, it may vary, it may differ depending on the perception of an individual. Okay, so any last words of inspiration to our viewers, especially the young aspiring bartenders from the Philippines, and our brothers and sisters also in the bartending industry here and in Hong Kong?
See, I think the one other very important thing, in whatever field you are in, then try not to know only about that field. So what I mean is, like, if you're in a hospitality, then okay, you're supposed to know about cocktail, about food, etc. But then always have a interest in other stuff also, a different hobby or something like that, because that add value when you're having a conversation, whether it's about sports, whether it's about art, whether it's about some sort of like activities, because the more you know about different things, the more you're able to hold a conversation, which I think is very, very important especially when we work in front of the house, because people come from different culture, people come from different field. So depending on who you're talking to, so you can always kind of touch bases on the base of what you know as your hobby, as your liking. So for young bartenders especially.
All right. Okay. So with that, Devender, you go on ahead with your work, with your dinner. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you.
It was so an honor and a pleasure. Finally, as Agong would say, you are the busiest guy he knows. So you have to email for.
No, Agong.
I can't forget that, because when you are there and then you say, Devender, you have to send him email. So no, but Hong Kong bartenders hold a special place in my heart, because I was there and I was able to hang out with you guys. So that is why I'm gonna make actually I am gonna make a month. What they call this, episodes with Hong Kong bartenders. So thank you for being the second bartender from Hong Kong to grace our show. And with that, again, Devender, thank you very much. Enjoy your dinner, enjoy your shift. And
thank you very much. Thank you.
Keep safe. All right.
Thank you so much. You take care. Bye bye. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So guys. With that, thank you very much for watching. It's so refreshing to hear Devender Kuhmar and what his background is, what he has done with his career, and of course, just like what Toma Sessions' goals are. We hope the bartenders listening right now are inspired, and if you see Devender, very, very refreshing, very fresh guy. He's just like starting his shift tonight, and stay tuned for next week. We have another special guest here at Toma Sessions. Okay, so as what I always say, well, of course, first, be inspired, be informed, and be involved. And of course, our hashtag, tagay hanggang mamatay. See you guys next week.